Hi everybody and welcome back to the Upper Room. This week we're talking about the Sabbath. Now, the Jews' Sabbath was on a Saturday. Why do we have a Sabbath on Sunday? Well, Jesus died on a Friday. And that evening, before the sun set at dusk, they took his body off the cross. Mary then cleansed his body, examining all his wounds and all her sorrows, wrapped him in the grave clothes and in the shroud, and they placed him in the sepulchre, which is a tomb that no one had been placed before. There was a Jew that was following Jesus that was rather wealthy, and he paid for Jesus to be taken off the cross and for the tomb. His name was Joseph. Not Saint Joseph, but Joseph. They placed him in the tomb on a Friday. It is unlawful by the Mosaic law to do any work on the Sabbath, or to even, they're supposed to rest. So that Friday evening, the sun was setting, and they were supposed to be inside before the sun set. So they were unable to finish the ceremonial things that they were going to do for the burial. It was her turn, the Blessed Mother's turn, to give him the respect that he deserved. But the sun was setting, so they obeyed God's commands and had to leave the tomb after they rolled the stone was rolled in front of it. They had to leave because the sun was setting, and they had to wait all past Saturday, because they couldn't do anything on Saturday. It's a day of rest, until Sunday morning, to where the Sabbath was over, and then they could go and finish the ceremonial things that they were doing for burial in the Mosaic law. So the Blessed Mother, Mary Magdalene, and I believe there's another Mary that was with them, heading back to the tomb. One was carrying some scented oil, and they were discussing when they got there, how were they going to roll away the stone from the front of the tomb, because it was so large. But then when they arrived, they saw that the stone had been rolled away already. And they looked inside, and inside the tomb were two angels, one where Jesus' feet were, and one where Jesus' head was. And Jesus wasn't there. The grave clothes were in the corner somewhere. They told them, if you're looking for Jesus of Nazareth, he is not here. He has risen, just as he has said. Seeing as Jesus is the fruition of the Judean prophecies by all the prophets that God has chosen throughout the centuries, and the fulfillment of these prophecies, therefore, he is the Lord of the Sabbath, because he is the Messiah. And the fulfillment in the prophecies means that the Sabbath on Saturday is no longer the Sabbath, because the Lord's Day is on Sunday, because it is the day that Christ has risen from the dead. This is why our Sabbath is on Sunday, because our entire Christianity hinges on the resurrection. Jesus said that he would come back to life in 3 days after they destroyed the temple of his body. And he did, proving that he has power over life and death. He himself said he has power to lay down his life, and he has power to take it up again. No one has this power except for God. No one has power over life and death except for God himself. Therefore, Christ is the first in the resurrection. Body and soul, he was assumed into heaven in the ascension shortly after his resurrection, approximately 44 days. He was with the apostles after he came back to life. So many witnesses saw him. Nearly 500 people witnessed him being there. So we have our Sabbath on Sunday because it's the day that Jesus was resurrected from the dead, and he conquered sin, death, and Satan. Now, that being said, the 10 Commandments are God's law. that he gave to Moses. Jesus said not one dot, not one iota of the law will pass away. So we know that one of the laws of the Ten Commandments is keep the Sabbath holy. Therefore, you should not make money on that day. You should not work on that day. It is the Lord's day, and it is a day of rest, and it is a day that should be dedicated to him. So keep it holy. What I mean by that is, don't choose to watch the football game instead of going to Mass. Don't choose to not go to church because you were out all night on Saturday drinking, and now you want to sleep in because you don't want to go to Mass because you're hungover. You have to make a conscious effort not to go out like that on that Saturday night so that you can go to Mass on Sunday, because it's an hour and a half out of your day, out of your entire week, to serve and worship God and praise him for all the things that you have in your life. The very breath in your lungs and the sun in the sky and the clouds and the wind on your face are all gifts from God. And we all enjoy these things. And you wouldn't have them unless he gave you life. So please understand that by keeping the Sabbath holy, you are not breaking a commandment. When we choose to go to work on Sundays, when we choose to make money instead of worshiping God on the one day of week that he intended for us to have, to honor him and to have rest and to spend time with family, and the rest of the week we can make money, work, do everything that he asks of us, and on Sundays, even if he asks stuff of us, we can do that too, because it's his day. The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. So, we know this because Jesus told us this. So it's a day that he designated for us to have, and we are intended to keep it holy. So thanks again for watching The Upper Room. Keep the Sabbath holy.